Hey, this is Mark, and today I'm going to work on a few different data recoveries. I've got a few kind of ready to start working on here. So I'm just going to figure out which ones I can quickly solve, and if it takes more than more than I want to spend right now, I'm just going to move on. But hopefully all four of these are going to be relatively straightforward. So starting off, there's a 5S that does appear to be booting, but it has no image. So it was liquid damaged, and I can see kind of there's some blackness on some of these filters, but that's not really the cause of the problem. With the 5S, it's like water at chestnut is extremely common. So let's just probe around and see if there are any shorts here. And there we go. This cap tends to always fail when it gets hit with water. So I think I'm just gonna flick that cap off. There we go. Alright, now I can look underneath the chestnut a little bit and see how bad that looks. Not great. Now, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've had a 5S that had this problem. But if I remember correctly, this cap is necessary. And this is a great example of why I have not streamed as much lately, because I've been working during the day, and that means that if I want to record or stream, then I'm going to have children and dogs in the background. Alright, so let's see if removing that cap relieved the short. Yep. So I'm going to just go ahead and toss a new cap on there. Just trying to find a 5S donor board that has that cap. There we go. Yes, Fiona? I forget what line this is, but I think it's 5v7 LCM. Pretty sure. But it might be the like the 6 volt boost. Get back here, cat. Ugh, these tweezers drive me nuts. Oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna have to go get my good tweezers. Okay. That is, it's on there. Could be a lot nicer, but good enough for me to test this out. Good enough for data. All right, move short. Just gonna check and see if either one of these batteries have enough voltage on them to boot up. Yes, this one has 4.1. Perfect. Oh, and I'm gonna need a dock. There we go. All right, let's see if this boots up. Looks like I've still got no image. So switch the power back over to DC power just to confirm that it does still appear to be booting. It does not look like it's booting. So there may have been some corrosion under chestnut that kind of got moved around. All right, I'll go ahead and pop chestnut off and have a look. Oh yeah, it looks like crap under there. All right. All right, new chestnut. Can you let Bear inside so he'll stop barking?
Bear, come here.
There we go. All right. Now this should boot up. Just check on DC power supply first. Yeah, that looks like it's booting. Right. And there we go. We've got Apple logo. Now let's see if we have touch. The colors are a bit washed out right now, and it's just, I believe it's this screen. I remember this screen having some color issues. Well, it looks like we've lost backlight, but I still have an Apple logo. Let's see, yep, I have touch. Yeah, that's gonna work. Camera's not picking it up very well. So I guess you're just gonna have to trust me on this, but I can see the outline of the numbers there. Backlight's on, it's just super weak. But yep, this one's good to go for data recovery. So that was pretty simple and straightforward, like I expected. You know, just the common short that these get when they get liquid damage is that cap right there, and then half the time you have to replace chestnut too. So here we go, one down. All right, Next, I've got a 6. I've actually got a couple of 6s. So on this first one, I can see that we got some liquid over in here. Probably some liquid under Mason, definitely liquid under audio IC. And then right in here, a little bit of liquid. Baseband PMIC looks okay. And then speaker amp and vibe driver both got hit pretty hard. And then on the top side of the board, we got some really crappy looking stuff on the LCD connector. Water got over here a little bit, but I don't think that's going to cause any problems. A little bit in here, and then the rest of the board, a little there. The rest of it looks pretty okay. So I'm going to start by, I'll check what is my diode mode reading on VCC main. Set that back to diode mode. And it is 0.196, so pretty low. So then first thing I'm going to do is just yank off things that aren't necessary for data. So I'll pull audio IC, vibe driver, speaker amp, and then this little guy I know is on main, so I'm just going to flick him off. He looks like crap. Alright. So when I'm working with liquid damage, I like to remove the chips without adding any flux, just because it gives me a more clear picture of what things look like under there. And the flux doesn't wash stuff away and move stuff around. So yeah, pretty clearly that is really ugly. I think I can get away with leaving this cap off, but some of these little guys near Mason are necessary, so just in case, I'm going to go ahead and put him back. Now I am still going to pull off vibe driver and speaker amp, but I am just a little bit curious if removing audio IC made a big difference on VCC main. Oh yeah, it's 270 while the board is still pretty warm and going up 275, 276. So this is probably good enough to try booting right now. But I know speaker amp and vibe driver both are on I2C communication lines, so I'm just going to pull them off to make sure that they're not like pulling down data lines. Oh, not too bad under him. I bet audio IC is going to be a mess, or a speaker amp as usual. Alright, now let's see what this does on DC power. Okay, so it does look like it's booting up. Stick a screen on there. And you know what, before I do a screen on there, I can clearly see that some of these pins need some work on this LCD connector, so might as well go ahead and touch those up.
There you go. This is the one you haven't done the least on. You want to do this one? This one? Yeah. Here you go.
Well, that's still not great. I don't expect backlight to work on this. I don't need backlight to work. But I do need image to work. And if I remember correctly, this is like a 5.7 line. I'm not 100% sure what line it is, but I would bet anything that I am correct in remembering that I need this line for image. Alright, I think that probably is okay. Let's see if I can get a diode mode reading on that pin. Nope, nothing. Open line. Great. Yeah, that's not soldered. I may end up having to replace this connector, but I'm going to give it another shot with the hot tweezers and see if I can get that pin to stick just well enough to produce an image. Let's see if that did it. pin still seems a bit loose. Yeah. Alright, one more try. This time, put a little bit of pressure on the pin from the inside. This helps sometimes. Still nothing, huh? Well, I am getting continuity through the pin to the outside of the pad. Well, looks like we got a couple little Easter eggs from taking off that audio IC that need to be dealt with too. Okay, well, before I mess around with it anymore, let me just see if I get an image here. No, no image at all. Woo. And chestnut is getting hot as shit. Which, that usually only means one thing. 6-volt boost line has short to ground. Alright, let's see. Alright, well, it is not that, so it could be one of the lines under Mason or Cumulus. Oh, well, that's going to be a problem right there. Definitely need that filter to work. I guess that explains why I was not getting a reading on that pin. Alright. Got 0.5, so that's good. So for this, I'm just gonna toss a jumper on there. Okay. All right, let's double check if there's any signs that liquid got under chestnut. I mean, I guess it could have in the corner there, but it doesn't really look like it. And this is the 6-volt boost, which is usually what causes chestnut to get hot if it's short to ground. But let's just take off touch ICs. See if we can get image back and then worry about getting touch back. Ugh. All right, just gonna check and see, is chestnut getting super hot still? No, it's not, but that may be because I don't have an LCD connected, so it's not being told to turn on. Doesn't seem to want to boot now. So I'm going to switch over and prompt to boot with the dock. Okay. Does seem like it's booting now. I still do not have any image, but Chestnut is no longer getting hot. Alright, so let me just check and see if the computer is recognizing if I'm being booted. Let's see. iTunes doesn't see it yet, but does look like it's booting on DC power. I think I'm going to put this one aside to work on later, because really the point of sitting down right now was just to knock out anything that's straightforward like that 5S. So I'm not really intending to sit down and put too much time into each one of these. So next we'll do another iPhone 6, another liquid damage. Connector area looks pretty good. This area looks kind of shitty right around here too. So I'll quickly just check and see if these lines where the caps look like crap are shorted. Alright. I just don't like the look of that one. That one didn't measure shorted, but I'm getting rid of him anyways. And him. Okay, this line is still measuring 0.025 to ground. So, if I remember correctly, that is the charging coil. So, we may need to look and see what that guy does. So we got some corrosion around Tigris, pretty heavy corrosion around baseband PMIC, a little bit of corrosion around speaker amp, and something got like really hot and kind of left burn marks on the transceiver. We got a little bit in here, but for the most part the top of the board looks okay. So let's hop over to ZXW and see what line is that. That is VCC main. All right. All right. That narrows it down to just about everything. All right, so we've got a short on VCC main, and our main candidates are speaker amp, Tigris, and baseband PMIC, which I don't need baseband PMIC to boot a 6. I believe they're needed to update but not to boot. So this looks like it got the worst. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it off. Oh yeah. Wow. That is really bad. Jeez. Alright. Let's clean this up. my flux, my Amtech flux is almost gone. I'm gonna have to go back to using Chip Quick until I can get some more. All right, let's check on that short. Right, switch my probes around. No, I had that right. Want red on ground, black on the line, and we're still at 0.026. So, how bad did Tigris get hit? Doesn't really look that bad. Speaker amp doesn't look too bad either, but yeah, I'll go ahead and pull it. Alright, what else could be the cause of my short? Could be any of these really ugly looking caps that are on main. Let's see what DC power supply tells me. Well, according to DC power supply, I no longer have a short. Yeah, we're at 327 on main, so sweet. Maybe this is ready to boot up for me. This one might even have backlight. Alright, to boot, and yes, we have Apple logo. So now we'll let this boot up and see if we can get touch. If I get touch, then that's another one in the done pile. I can move on to the SE. Yep, we have touch. Sweet. Yeah. All right. It's 2 down. one to go. And I'll probably work on that, record when I'm working on that other 6 a little later with the image problems. I don't really feel like getting too deep into troubleshooting right now. Just want to see which ones of these I can knock out quickly and start recovering while I play with the kids. That's the best part about this job. You talking to me?
Yes.
What's up, honey?
The oven is on still. Should it be?
Yeah, I guess it's been long enough. You can turn it off. I'm still putting more layers of seasoning on that cast iron. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, best part about this job, being able to do a little bit of work and then go play with the kids and then come back and do some more work and do all the really hard stuff when they're in bed.
Okay, I will share with you.
Alright, so this is an SE that had pretty severe liquid damage corrosion all in this area. It had a lot of like ugly looking corrosion kind of in the connector area, but it was really just superficial. It cleaned off really easily and didn't really leave much behind. Bottom of the board looks pretty clean, so really like this area is going to be my main focus. I expected probably I was going to have to change Cumulus, probably going to have to pull audio IC, and I checked to see what it was doing on DC power supply, and it was doing nothing when I prompted to boot. And I checked for my 1.8 volts at the hold key pin here, actually over here, 1V8 always, which is what generates the voltage used to signal the phone to turn on. 1V8 always was 0.6 volts, and that probably has something to do with this cap being so corroded. This one is on 1V8 SD RAM, so let's see what do we have here. Yeah, short to ground there. Now if I come over to 1V8 always, I don't have a short. It's 0.491, which is that's about right. But I just want to see if I knock this off, does that clear the short? And if it does, do I get my full 1.8 volts at 1V8 always? That did not clear the short. Well, that is unfortunate. I definitely wanted it to clear that short. And then probing around these other ugly looking guys, none of them are short, so just leave them alone for now. Alright, so I guess we're going to pull audio IC and see what it looks like under there. Okay, and do we still have the 1V8 SD RAM short? I don't even know if that line goes to audio IC. Yes, we do still have the short. All right, now it's time to pull up ZXW and see where else 1v8 SD-RAM goes, so I can hopefully start popping off some ugly capacitors or pulling some chips. Alright, 1v8 SD-RAM, a couple other caps around audio IC, which look fine. Alright, there's some stuff, some 1v8 SD-RAM around CPU, which looks fine. Let's see. It goes under U5301, which looked like crap, and it goes under backlight driver, which may or may not be crappy underneath. Alright, so I think this is going to be my best candidate to remove because this whole area was really corroded. Backlight driver doesn't look like it got hit that much.
Looks like you got 4 plays, Rex. Now you can play different. Oh, it's the same thing only it's a little bit harder.
Well, unless this chip failed internally, it doesn't really look like the short would have been from there. Let's just see. Nope.
You're the pink one.
All right. What else? What else? What else? Oh. Yeah, I forgot. There's like a ton of resistors on 1v8 SD-RAM, and my short is not a full short. It's like 0.013 in diode mode, which I have seen before, where there's a short on another line that where I'm measuring it measures through the resistor. So yeah, that's going to make this a bit more complicated to narrow down. So since that's not what I intend to do right now, I guess I'll go ahead and end this. Had 2 successes, one of the 6s and the 5S, and then the other 6 and this SE are, I still fully expect to solve both of these. It's just going to take a little more diagnostic time, so I will record the rest of these data recoveries a little later. Alright, yeah, so thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm back with the iPhone SE that I left off with the other day. Well, I guess for you it was just a few seconds ago. Alright, so when I left this, I'd found it seemed like PP1V8 SD-RAM was shorted. But what I did was I started probing around like on VCC main to check the voltage, and I was getting a very low voltage. So that told me that battery main was not being properly connected to VCC main via this transistor. So I've removed the transistor and I've just hooked a wire to directly connect battery main to VCC main. And after doing that, I did start getting 4 volts on VCC main like I would expect. and so I tried to boot it up, and it seemed to be booting properly, but I had no image. So I probed on the LCD connector and everything seemed fine, but I do remember there being some signs of corrosion around chestnut. So when you can see the caps around here were corroded. So I pulled chestnut just to see what it looked like under, and I don't really see corrosion, but it seems like the the ultrasonic cleaner has cleared out what corrosion was there. But what stands out to me is you can see how like there's balls left on the board, and either no ball on the chip or parts of balls. And for the most part, these kind of match up. Like these perfectly flat ones here match up with these right here. And like this perfectly flat one matches up with that. This one matches up with that. So I would expect to have no solder on the chip for these balls. But then we've got this guy right here. There's no ball at all left on the board, and it matches up to this ball on the chip, and there's no ball on the chip. So that means that there was no connection here. So what does that guy do? Let's just pull up ZXW real quick. And this ball on the chip is the switching for the boost for the chestnut voltages. So we got one side goes to VCC main, and one side of this coil connects up to that ball of the chip. So I had an open line there. So the answer is going to be put a new chestnut on and see if we get image. All right, that looks good enough to throw a new chip on. Cover up the underfilled PMIC or PMIC. Got a new chestnut. Check out the top side of the board. Nothing looks like it got too hot. Now I don't have an SE screen, so I'm going to use the one that came out of this phone and hope for the best. I've cleaned the corrosion off. Nothing looks like it got corroded too bad. So hopefully this screen will show an image. If not, I've got a 5S screen that I think I remember it working with the SE.
I know some of the 5S screens work with the SE and some don't. All right, gonna boot from DC power supply, prompting to boot through the dock. And we have Apple logo, yay. Now all I gotta do is hope that we have touch and I don't have to replace touch ICs. I do remember there being some corrosion around the touch ICs, so So it looks like image is gone. Oh, there we go. We're back. Oh, and we have touch. All right. Yes. Okay, so that one is solved. So that's 3 out of the 4. And I'll just quickly talk about the 4th one, that other iPhone 6. So this was the one with lots of corrosion around the LCD connector. It had lots of corrosion in lots of spots, but the deal breaker here, there we go. The deal breaker here is this data line. I tried like jumping one data line to another, just kind of as an experiment. Didn't expect it to work, and of course it didn't. So the problem that I have here is that these lines only go to the CPU. They go from the LCD connector through these chokes and to the CPU. So when there is an open line on the CPU end, there's really not much that we can do about it. I have some ideas of things I could try, but those are for another day. So I'm getting a diode mode reading here on the positive data line, but on the negative I'm getting open line. So that is a big problem. Here's the other data line, positive and negative. I get diode mode readings on both. This is a clock line. That's okay, but this is a problem. So this pad right here goes straight over under the CPU right about here. And there's, I don't have a easy solution to that. So I'm going to think about this for a while, but we got 3 out of 4, so that's not too bad. All right, thanks for watching.